Hey guys, Megan Abundis here with KSBY. We are right here now in Santa Barbara where a bunch of people are working in various areas of this department looking at the potential storm for Thursday into Friday and what those debris flows could look like. So lots of people working on those evacuation updates if they were to come down. With me right now is Commander Kelly Moore with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. So we have been talking about what this storm could look like. Now, what are you wanting people to know? What does the storm look like compared to the one in January?
So right now it's tracking into an area of the burn areas, and it could produce levels that reach the January storm. Mm-hmm. It's not likely that it's going to reach there, but there is that potential. But we are looking at it meeting our thresholds to start evacuations and start the warning, recommended warnings and so forth. We're starting into that threshold.
So talk about that. What do the thresholds look like, and when could those go in effect?
So the thresholds are rain rate per hour, and our current threshold is half an inch or more of rain per hour, and that could reach us tomorrow in the late afternoon, early evening, and into Friday morning. And so that's why we're activating our protocols now, and we're in the 48-hour before the storm protocols, which is that we have recommended evacuation warnings in place.
So what are you looking at tonight, and when, if those mandatory evacuations go forward, what time will that be at?
So we will look at the weather, and we'll be in consultation with the National Weather Service to determine the actual or the best threat analysis possible. And so we'll make that decision hopefully before 6 p.m. tonight, and we'll push that out as soon as we can. It could be before, it could be slightly after, because we have to get all of the components in place.
So how many people would those evacuations go into effect if they were to stand tonight at 6 p.m.? How many people would that affect?
That would affect about 30,000 people in the South Coast.
So where exactly are we talking about the certain people who are affected this storm around?
So this is going to be affecting those people that are down flow from the Sherpa Whittier burn zones and the Thomas burn area.
Okay, so just those two this time, not Alamo this time around. But
yeah, so that's actually 3 different burn scars because the Sherpa and Whittier kind of come together. They're very close in proximity to each other. The Alamo is not affected right at this point, but that could change. But right now, we're not expecting it to hit the Alamo. Our biggest concern is the Montecito, Carpinteria, Summerlin area because of the history that we had and because they're directly adjacent to the Thomas that had a much more devastating effect, and it's more recent than the Sherpa and Whittier.
So let's talk about that. 30,000 people could be evacuated. What do they need to know about when those evacuations hit? There are mandatory evacuations. What should they know about you guys helping them?
They're going to need to know where they're going. They're going to need to know what they need to take with them. They're going to have a communication plan with their family members, and they're going to need to know that now is the time to leave because, as we discussed earlier, the trying to leave in the middle of a storm at night on crowded, very narrow roads, in and of itself is a dangerous task. So when you're panicked and you're trying to get out during the middle of an event, it's very difficult to do so, and it is very dangerous, just that process. So if you can leave earlier, that's when we're asking you. That's what we're asking you. That's why we're giving you so much notice to this event.
Mm-hmm. So people last time at this flood were stranded for what you said up to 16 days. Now, what does this look like now when they're asked to leave and they decide to stay?
So where some of the risk is really not to damage. The risk is to isolation. And so if you choose not to, and absolutely that is not what we're recommending, but if you choose to, understand this, that you will become isolated. We are going to address priorities first, and if you're just stranded, you're very low on our priority, and we're not going to go back and just check on you. You're going to have to sustain yourself and survive by yourself for a significant period of time, which can be up to and maybe even longer than 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, these people really need to prepare and think about their decisions. That's huge.
It is, and it's right now we can say, 72 hours or a week is not that bad, but try to do that without water, without sewer, without electric, without gas, and it becomes infinitely more difficult to do that.
So let's talk about the freeway next. What can you say about that?
So during an event, an actual event, the freeway will close. In talking with the CHP, we are going to try to shut down the freeway pre-event to allow for evacuations. However, because of the access and this being our main thoroughfare through our area, shutting it down early is going to allow for an egress. It won't allow for an ingress. So that's another reason early evacuation is necessary and highly recommended. And because you're going to have a difficult time pre-storm getting into the area. And so if you need, you have special access and functional needs, you have medications, you have large animals, those types of things, they have to be accounted for very early in this.
You're not going to be able to get back in when the freeway closes.
That's correct.
Finally, can you talk about how you are upstaffing and what search and rescue crews could be doing right now?
Yeah, so our search and rescue crews, in conjunction with the fire search and rescue crews, are identifying their resources and putting their plans, their specific plans together. And depending on what the weather tells us this afternoon, we'll start either activating or deactivating those plans. And the process will be that we will stage them throughout our threat zones, with our highest threat areas, and we'll start so that we can respond as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. So if the evacuations goes mandatory tonight, they will be knocking on doors tonight?
They will be knocking on doors probably tonight. I don't know exactly what their plan is, but usually when we issue the mandatory evacuations, we start that process right away.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Get out.
Thank you. Very to the point. You heard it from here. There are lots of people working around the clock looking at these in these separate rooms here at the emergency center. They are the ones who will let you know what's next. And so follow KSBY. We'll have the latest tonight and always on our website. Thanks.